This is Donna with More Than a Review, and we are here with Stephanie, and she has an amazing story to tell, and you'll just see that she is at such peace and happy. We were talking about that and just been through so much that I just want to give everyone hope that is going through something like this, that you can have the same hope and the same peace. And she's going to share a little bit about her journey and how she feels like she can help you, because that's part of it's just part of her ministry now, is to help other women. I mean, she, from the outside looking in, looked like you were living the perfect life, and then one day she's not. And so it's just an amazing story. So Stephanie, go ahead and share with us kind of how, the betrayal was kind of revealed, and then kind of your steps.
Yeah, for sure. So at the point of confession, Tim and I had been married for 7 years. We had 2 kids. Charlie was just over a year. Addison was 4.5. So we were a young, happy family. I think when you're in those beginning years of marriage, like, yeah, it's great, but I wish this was just maybe a little bit better. So I wish our conversations were a little bit deeper, connection, but we never fought. So I had no red flags to be concerned about. And so 7 years, Tim came home out of the blue, blindside confession, and confessed to 10 years of being addicted to pornography, which then led to multiple affairs. Wow. And so complete dump and burden, the transfer of burden, where he'd been keeping the secret for, at that point we'd been together for 10 years, 3 years dating, 7 years married. So he'd been holding the secret for so long. And so when he confessed, it was like complete freedom from all of those chains that the enemy had held him in.
So share with us, what led him to be ready to share it with you?
Mm-hmm. Well, 6 months prior to confession, he was busy working in his office with his business partner, and Greg turned around and was studying the book of Revelations, and just out of the blue in the afternoon said, "Dude, we got one shot at this life or we burn in hell." And for whatever reason, God on that day had Tim's ears and heart willing to listen to that, and it broke him. He stepped outside the office and just fell to his knees and said, "God, take this. I can't do this anymore." And so for 6 months prior to confession, Tim was starting to have this heart change where he was truly seeking God and wanted to have that personal relationship, not just to go to church and do the actions. It was real. It was an authentic relationship. And so I had noticed the spiritual leadership starting to shine in our marriage. He was initiating prayer, not me. And so I had seen this change, as did other people, but he couldn't get over the fact that he had not yet confessed to me. And so 6 months later, that's when the confession happened.
Wow. So what made you, so how long, I guess, was your healing, and then what led you to the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a big question, not enough time. So confession was in April of 2009. So we separated for 10 days. Day 10 was Good Friday. That was the day that I actually spoke forgiveness to Tim, and he moved back home. And then from there, we spent 2 years of just keeping our circle so protected and so small, because our intentions were to fully restore. And so often when you invite everybody in and when you share your story with everybody, sometimes you can't control that, but we were able to control it. So we kept it small with the intention of, we want to get to that place of being fully reconciled, and we don't need all the chatter from everybody else. So 2 years after a lot of pain, a lot of healing, a lot of mentor and accountability and counseling, we were approached by a church to share our testimony. And so they filmed Tim's testimony on coming clean. And then 3 weeks later, they filmed my testimony on forgiveness. And through that, the CBN, the 700 Club, got a hold of those testimonies. And our circle went from hardly anybody to a national platform that's been aired twice on the 700 Club. And that really is what was the birthing point of Reclaimed Ministry.
Wow. Because that's what I was thinking, as you had mentioned that it was so small, like you were protected. Small. And then all of a sudden the whole world practically knows, or they can with the internet. So how hard was that at that point? Was it okay? Did it bring some of the feelings back?
Yeah. So I think to a certain level, yes, it did. But we had been so focused on healing that we were in a good spot. And it wasn't like it was like a brand new release movie, it wasn't anything like that. You did have to search for it, or you had to be watching the show to see those clips.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it played at our church, we had family members who did not know our story, who were like, what in the world? Friends who had no clue. So there was some shock factor that came in with sharing. But the beautiful part was the immediate response from people saying, thank you for sharing. I share a similar story. Can we meet for coffee? And that was when my phone started blowing up saying, can we meet? And so I would start meeting with women for coffee, and that turned into 6, 8, 12 weeks of just meeting with women who were in similar situations, or they were divorced and still needed to process the emotions of betrayal. And so after a year of doing this, I was finally challenged to say, you should lead a small group. And the women kind of flipped it, and they said, well, why haven't you done something? I'm like, well, that's not for me. I don't need to do that. And then God was like, no, I think I want to challenge you in this. Wow. And you never really want to challenge God when he says, I have a calling and a purpose for your pain. Yeah. And that's what happened. And so I wrote the 12-week, it started off as 6 weeks for a small group guide. And then it quickly transferred into a 12-week curriculum guide for women's ministries and for churches. And out of that came the 30-day journey for women who don't have the option to attend a small group.
Yeah. So it sounds like what is different from your book is you don't just discuss like the forgiveness and kind of dealing with your husband, but it's also finding yourself again. So kind of help us understand that.
Yeah. Well, I think oftentimes when you're faced with a situation like this in your marriage, whether it's pornography or whether it's an actual physical affair, sex addiction, we as women instantly take on that definition. And so I'm a broken bride, and because I couldn't keep my husband at home in my own bed, now I have all that guilt and that shame. And so that's what I really wrestled with, was the identity piece of this. And that's where God really did a lot of restoring work. Like I mentioned, the pornography was for me worse than the actual physical affairs because of what it did to my mind. And I think that's where the enemy plays his game, is he knew that was my weakness, was self-esteem, self-image, my worth, my value. And so why not? Let's just take her down right there. And so having to rebuild that up again, that's my focus. That's my heart passion, is to restore that in other broken women.
And I think all of us have a sense of insecurity. I mean, we were just talking about this in another interview. You've got all these magazines that are airbrushed that, we try to compare ourselves to. And I can see where that would be just extremely hard. That's amazing. So what do you want women to get out of the book? And I don't think we've shared the book, so let me share the book. It's Reclaimed: Finding Your Identity After Marital Betrayal. It's a 30-day personal journey. And it's like... you have questions where they kind of think through, and it's not questions where you're going to go research and find the answer somewhere. Like, you are going to have the answer.
It's soul searching. The questions you don't want to answer, but you have to get to the point of being reclaimed.
So what would you want the women to get out of the book? And out of kind of your experience?
I think, my main heart passion is for the bride who is watching this saying, like, I'm not good enough. Like, he stole my identity, he stole my security, he stole my marriage, he's broken my family. What I would love to say to you directly is to say that you are enough, and that you are God's precious daughter. You are a daughter of a high king. We have authority in us to walk out and to be redeemed and to be restored. And so to truly keep that focus vertical, keep it on the cross. Regardless of how broken your horizontal relationships are, keep the focus vertical and on Jesus Christ, because your healing starts here. Your healing does not start with other people, it starts with you. And so try to have just that singular vision, that singular focus of just, God, help me get through this day. Help me get through this very minute to the next second. And just to know that you are deserving of being loved, and that you are cherished, and that you do have a purpose in this. And there is so much hope in the end. Tomorrow is coming.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just, we hate it that you've been through it, but it's amazing the women you're going to be able to touch. I truly believe there's just a war against marriages, and
Absolutely.
it's breaking up the families, and it's just so great to see just a success story, a happy family.
Thank you.
That's impacting so many now.
Thank you.
So thank you guys for watching. We'll have links to her book, and definitely check out her website. She's got amazing resources there. And one of the things I noticed from your website is it's a community.
It is.
Find a good group
Yes.
of women.
And we do have a community on Facebook. It's a safe, closed, confidential community, the Reclaimed Ministry community.
So definitely take a look at that on Facebook. It'll be a great group of women who understand what you're going through. Thank you guys.
Bye.